Hey everybody, welcome to Tangled Silver Magazine's The Ageless Lounge. Today we are so lucky to have Jineen Marie Silvery join us. Welcome Janine, welcome.
You. Thank you. It's good to see you. And your adorable dimples, as
It is
always.
so good. Oh, thank you. I am a little bit sick, everybody, so please bear with me as we try to make it through today's conversation because, who wants to cancel a conversation with a fabulous silver sister if you don't have to? But I do have a cold, so bear with me, everybody. Janine, I want to start today like we always start off, and that is I'm going to ask you, what does it mean to you when I say I feel like you are an ageless woman?
Well, I was thinking about that, and I think what it means is that, uh, well, for me, I guess what it means is that it doesn't really matter, for one thing, how old we are. And I actually am embracing what year I'm in. I know not everybody does that, but to me, it's accepting yourself for exactly where you're at. And another thing for me is it's that I have so much more wisdom, which, just the longer years you're alive, I feel like we get that. Hopefully, I guess if we don't, that's a little scary. But and so for me, it's not worrying about a number so much. It's worrying, it's just thinking about how I take care of myself, um, who I love, how I treat people. And, I've been listening to another podcast actually called Wiser Than Me with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and she interviews
Mm-hmm.
older women. And I love it because she'll say to them, do you mind if I say your age? And for the most part, most women are like, no, please do. And they say their age. And there's been maybe one or two that are like, but then I feel bad for those women because I want to say, oh my gosh, you're alive. Like, isn't this what we're supposed to be excited about? So that that we do get more years. So
Yes.
that's kind of how I'm trying to live, is just being excited for year after year. And yes, we all know with age comes a little bit of, not all the things we love when it comes to, our joints not feeling as good and all those things. But I'm trying to really look at all the positives of, living another year.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I want to say what you really grabbed me is when you point that part about where who you love, how you treat your body, how you take care of yourself, because that was one of the things that drew me to you back in 2021. For those of you who don't know, Janine was on one of our back covers the first year that we came out in 2021. And it was because of her story of how she chose to go gray, silver, white, whatever you want to call it,
Yes.
all our shades of, all the shades of silvers and grays.
Hmm.
And I want her to share a little bit about that because it was your story for why you chose and how you went about it to get this beautiful, beautiful white, beautiful, gorgeous hair you have now. So share a little bit about the love you had that drew you to the gray community.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I had very dark hair and of course was dyeing it every week and a half, which now I realize why I was trying to dye it every week and a half, because it was so bright underneath. But you don't know when you're in that process of what's really happening under the dye. And my niece was diagnosed with cancer, and thank God she's cancer free. And now, and but she was diagnosed, and I kind of had always said there were two things. I had a weird bucket list thing to shave my head just through the years. Like, that feels like that would be fun and freeing, and I don't know, crazy, whatever, rebellious. I probably had lots of reasons. And then my niece was diagnosed with cancer, and I thought, oh, I'd love to kind of shave my head in honor of her because she's going to lose her hair, which we knew would happen. And so, like I said, I still was dyeing my hair, but I had like 5 weeks of roots grown out. And it was literally, I just hit my like almost 6-year anniversary. It was like December 29th. I believe it was 2018, actually, maybe, when I did that. And went into a place, just said, I'd love to get my head shaved. And I'm looking back going, I should have just kind of done it myself because we didn't video quite the whole thing, but I did video some of it. And it was so freeing. First of all, it felt like this de-shedding of all these things. And then the fun thing was I was actually able to donate my hair to children with hair loss, which back in the day they used to say you couldn't donate dyed hair, but they take that now. And so that was cool too, because it was kind of like, obviously, you didn't want to waste the hair if you could help somebody with it. And my hair was very long at the time. So yeah, I shaved my head, and then it's, I've grown it, I've cut it, I've grown it, I've cut it, and this is now what are we? Oh, 2025. So is that 6 years I just hit? Yeah, 6-year anniversary of that.
60.
Yeah.
What I didn't know until you just said it now is that you and I started our journeys about the same time, because
Wow.
it was in December of 2018 that I decided to stop coloring my hair as well.
Oh
I
my.
didn't shave my hair off like you did. I took the long grow out process, right? But it was 2018.
See, we were
Yeah, so we are
destined
on
to
6
meet.
years,
Wow.
right?
Isn't-
Isn't that
I
crazy?
know.
But such a beautiful story of why you did it. Because sometimes people go, well, why did you choose to? And for me, there wasn't like the need of like a family member like that. It was truly just my looking around and realizing, young girls are paying big bucks to get silver, and I'm paying big bucks to cover it. And it was like, wait a minute,
Yes.
what doesn't make sense here? And then fighting all the storylines, but it was so freeing. Like you said, there's just this freeing piece of it that I don't think we all realize. And it's not about just our hair, right? It might start off that way, but it becomes so much more. And I love that you have been such a proponent for color. One of the reasons, I don't know if all of you know this or not, but Jineen is one of our color writers and contributors, one of our sheet hack, and she provides us great color inspiration. Because a lot of people go, I don't know what to do with color once I go gray, or I have to only wear this shade or that shade. Yeah. And Jineen is one to come out and just go, wear whatever you want and make it work for you, right? Jineen, share a little bit about your thought behind color.
Yeah, when I was a brunette, I'm sure I wore colors, but I don't think I thought about it so much. And then it's like my hair ended up being a lot brighter and whiter than I imagined it would be. And then it was like, oh, this looks really good against all these different shades of color, which some people will debate if it's your hair color or your skin color. I'm sure it's a little bit of both. But I am like, if you can make it work, make it work. If you love that color, use the eyeshadows, use the lipsticks. You don't even have to do that, but it definitely makes everything pop that much more. I know there are women that'll say like, oh, I don't even know, or I don't wear makeup, or I'm like, okay, but it may brighten your look. It may just accentuate a color that you're wearing. It might just make you happy that day, and I realize I'm definitely a creative person in a lot of ways, but one of the things that's fun to me is just doing makeup and color and putting it all together, and that's just like a fun artistic expression, I think, for me. And I realize I think it kind of makes me happier just to see color. And even though I'm certainly one to love wearing all black or white, I realize I probably will never just have that in my wardrobe, because color just makes me a little bit happier and smilier and shinier. That's just me, though.
Now, do you think, I'm sitting here looking today as I'm in total whites and grays right now. And
yes,
the sky color is actually gray today.
Looks good too.
Well, and I love color, but I'm laughing because today I feel very uncolorful right now with being sick. I didn't want to do much with makeup today, and I'm like, you have these beautiful lips,
and I get it.
But what do you say? What do you say to those who are like, if somebody's gone for I don't wear makeup, so the idea of wearing makeup to help me look brighter in my grays is really a problem for me. What would you suggest? Where would you suggest they start? Because some people are still like, I don't want bright lipstick. It's not that you necessarily have to, but where's the starting point for them if they've never really experienced playing in makeup?
Yeah.
But yet,
I would say for me, because I love wearing, I actually the other day had on something more gray that kind of went with my hair. And I had like a nude lipstick on, which, some people might go, oh, well, that can wash people out or whatever. But again, I think if you start, if you're like, oh, I don't want to go too crazy, I don't want to go too bright, that's just not really who I am, you start with something neutral. And what's funny is I had somebody was commenting something like, that color looks so whatever. And I was thinking it's not a whole lot of color, but it's funny because it was put together in a way that I think just made it work. But, again, I think it just depends on the shade of your hair. It depends on, how you're wearing it, what you're I think I had a turtleneck on, I don't know. It's just funny how it's different for everybody. But I would say if you're kind of like, ooh, I want to play around with something, maybe a little blush, a little, even a gloss on your lips. Sometimes it just brings you to life a little bit. You know what I mean? And I think it can just make you feel a little more alive and awake. and not like you're dead and sleeping or something, you know what I mean? Like not that kind of blah look.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And what would you say to those? It does make sense to me because I know they're like as I'm looking at it right now, going, oh, I'm more on my blah side today just because I'm not feeling
Sure.
well, and didn't do my color. But when I choose to put in color, I definitely feel better. I definitely feel more alive. What do you think about the concept of this whole don't wear this color, don't wear that color, or there's a like I find that like when I wear pinks, I love pinks, right? Pre-gray, brighter pinks were really fun. Lighter pinks tend to now, I think, make me stand out a little bit more versus the brighter pinks. The brighter pinks almost too vibrant for me. But what do you think if somebody says to you, oh, you can't wear that color? Because somebody will say to me, oh, yeah, you don't wear that shade. I want your opinion on that because I know my opinion on it, which is I feel like you should wear what makes you feel good. And if you love it, that's what matters, right? But what is your thought on somebody?
I definitely think, I grew up in a world where I was told I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. So I'm definitely rebellious to that. And the older I get, and I think probably women are, the older we get, we say, are you serious? Like, I'm going to probably do what I want to do. I think that's really what it comes down to. I think that, you might put one color up to your face and another color up to your face and see a difference and go, ooh, this one just really pops better or whatever. And I get that. But if you're like, but I love this color and I'm going to make it work, I personally think you can make it work. And if nothing else, your shine and your glow or your love for it, I think will make it stand out, in my opinion. So I say go for it. Do what you want to do. We only have one life, right?
See, that's what, yes, that's why I love you so much, just because of that attitude. Excuse me, everybody. Here comes the cough. I love that about you because I've seen you in every shade under the sun. You initially started writing with us after I think I watched you do was it 12 months of color or 12 weeks of color?
12 weeks, I think it was. Yeah.
Because it was so fun to watch you pull out these different colors and pull out these different looks. And somebody said to me, well, yeah, it's easy for her because every color looks good on her. And I was like, yeah, but a lot of it is I think it's in what you, like you said, what you bring to the table with it. If you love that color and it makes you feel good, that's the energy you're going to portray.
Exactly.
And people are going to see more of the energy around you than the actual color you're wearing.
Exactly.
And can color make a difference? Of course, color can make a little bit of difference, but how do you put us in a box? Because again, there are thousands of shades. We all are different shades. I had somebody the other day tell me I looked more blonde now than silver or gray. So they were wondering how I thought I could do a gray magazine when I'm not gray. And I was like, what? And I was looking at what I was wearing. I was like, okay, I can see that. What I've got on is bringing up more of my warmer tones because obviously, this we have all different tones in our hair. So I'm like, it's bringing up more of my warmer tones. But it was so funny because of the thought of there is no one color fits everybody, right? It's all about us all being individuals and finding what works for us and owning that boldly, right?
Yeah, I had a girl, I had posted a picture in a shirt I had thrifted that was, I want to say it was kind of like a caramel color, maybe even a little more beige. And it's, if you were going on what some people would say, it wouldn't be like my best color. And, but I was like, I like this color and I like this shirt and I'm going to make it work. And I did the warmer tones and whatever. But what's funny is I had a girl say, do you want me to teach you your colors or something? And I said, well, I know my colors, but thank you. But it was funny because I just thought she was probably like, oh, that's not the best color. And I thought, and I think I even said to her, I go, no, it's not my best color with my hair, but I kind of don't care and I'm making it work and I like it. But thanks for the tip. So I know people have that rule, those rules they live by, but there is something about, I'll be 50 this year and I'm like, I don't want to live by rules anymore. I did that for a long time and I'm like, no, thanks.
Right. Well, and I think that we're finally at a place where women are starting to come out of that box of having to follow all the rules.
Exactly.
Our mothers and grandmothers all followed the rules and kind of taught us that we were supposed to follow the rules. And we're finally to a place where we're kind of like why are we following those rules?
And who made up those rules? You kind of go, was it a man? Because probably. But also, it's like, I mean, you
Right,
think
right,
about the rules that we lived in, like the no white after Labor Day, or the like, if you get to a certain
yeah,
age, your hair should be a certain length. Like, you can't have long hair anymore over
right,
like what? Like,
right,
do you know how limiting that was? So I feel bad for the women that are
right.
still living in that world, because it's sad. I feel like it's very sad to limit yourself when you want to
Well,
do other things.
yeah. And it's hard to break out of it. Like for those
It
who are
is.
stuck in that pattern or feeling like they can't get out, we get it.
Yeah.
It's not that
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not that we don't understand
Yeah.
it. We get it.
Yeah.
We're just hoping to encourage you that if you
Yeah.
want to try it, like if you want your hair to be longer, like go for it. That was long hair was a battle with my mother because she owned her own insurance agency. And for the longest time, it was always shorter hair makes you look more professional because in the 80s and
Yeah.
90s, it was shorter hair, wear suits. And that was never who I was.
Right.
And it was always a battle for hair. So when I started letting my hair grow long again, I was like, I'm gonna see how long I can get it. And okay, and I'm 57
Yeah.
right now. I had to think for a second. I'm 57.
Yeah.
I turned 57 in August, and my hair is longer than it's ever been, but it's also healthier than
Yeah.
it's ever been. So I think the reality is that yes, we're coming out of those, we're breaking those structures that were set up for us, or those fences that were set up that we were told not to climb over,
Yeah.
and we're like, wait a minute, we're gonna climb them, and we're gonna succeed, and we're gonna
Yep.
change the world,
That,
right? What is it? Gloria Steinem has that quote.
yes, it's one of my favorites.
I
Like,
can't quite
yeah,
remember.
at
It's like
some point,
the world, right? What?
it's something along the lines. I was just listening to her of, at some point,
Yeah.
like a bunch of gray-haired women are going to take over the world, or something along those lines.
Yes.
I should have it memorized by now. It's the best quote, and I'm like, I think she's kind of right. It's happening.
Right? It really is. It really is. We're standing out. We're not a fad. It's not a fad. I've had people say to me, well, what do you think about this fad with the younger girls? I'm like, again, it's not a fad. Gray has been around our entire lives. The difference is now we are just proudly shouting that we love it and not hiding from it. That's the difference. It's not that it wasn't there, that it's a brand new color. It's that we're no longer hiding from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think too many of us were encouraged to hide.
I think it's so powerful to think that, if I can influence one woman to go, oh, she can do it, I can do it. Like, that's amazing. That means we've impacted even just one person to not be afraid of, like, not dyeing their hair forever. When people say, there was somebody recently I ran into that said that to me, and because I think I was like, oh, they went gray or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, you inspired me. You're like, that's so cool, because I used to say I would never go gray. I used to say I'll go blonde before I go gray, and then guess what? What is the saying? I'm totally losing my train of thought, but like, don't ever say things that could totally change. I mean, the reality is I changed, and the world has changed, and it's like, it's sometimes I do look at myself and think, wow, I can't believe that I embrace this. And then it's like, oh wait, yeah, I can. This is freeing, and this is a whole new world, and it's 2025, and yeah. So it's just it's exciting, and it's cool to see other women having that bravery. And it is a thing to be brave. Like, I don't even want to diminish that it's not a big deal. It is in our culture, I think, to say, I don't have to live by this standard anymore,
Yeah. I think you're completely spot on there. It is not just a matter of a hair color. It is a matter of standing our own truth.
Yeah.
And embracing ourselves, and just truly loving for ourselves versus what everything else, all the stories that are told, right? Because most of the stories that we're getting aren't even our stories, but we don't realize that because we've just taken them on and then continued the pages of them, even though they were never our stories in the first place.
Exactly.
And
so true.
I think the silver community, and like you said, I imagine there are thousands of women that you've inspired that you've never even heard from, because you never know. And this is what I want to tell all you ladies out there that are listening to us: you never know, regardless of where you are on your journey, who else you might be inspiring just because you're boldly owning it for yourself. I had a woman back in October who I mentored it. We were at a women's business conference thing, and I'm at it, and we're talking. We were very, very vocal open about our businesses. And I was telling some of my struggles is sometimes I wonder, am I doing anything that's really making a difference in this world sometimes, right? Like, what's the impact I'm making? And as we're talking, we got done, and she goes, okay, Robin, I'm going to tell you this, just because if you look here, she goes, I have some silvers coming in. I was like, oh, that's cool. And she's like, no, but I want you to know is I've been letting this come in since I talked to my friend Vivica, who went to your sisterhood experience
yes.
and told me about it. And she goes, so you inspired me without me even meeting you. I was like,
Aw.
oh, like that just made made my event,
Yeah.
regardless of anything else I took away from that event, that when you don't necessarily think you're making a difference, you don't know who you're touching.
Yes.
And I think that's so important because as we walk out the door every day, I think more of us should remember that we never know who we're going to touch in some way, rather it's through our kindness, it's through somebody looking, going, wow, look at that, amazing. Look at her hair. Oh my gosh, if I want that, right?
Yeah.
It's, you just never know who you're going to touch.
It's so true.
And share with me, what would you say was maybe the number one thing about letting your silvers come in that you would like people to know that maybe you weren't aware of at the time?
Well, I'll say this: if I was looking for more compliments, I didn't think I was looking for more compliments, but I have never had so many compliments on my hair. Like I die laughing because my kids, I think, are like, oh Lord, when we're together, because people will go, oh my gosh, I just have to tell you, like, your hair is amazing, or whatever. And then I'll say to my husband, like, do you get sick of that? Because that keeps happening. He's like, no. And I'm like, it's just funny because I said nobody gave a crap about my hair when I was a brunette. But I think even that, it stands out because it's like, oh, well, she's 49 and she's letting her hair go gray. And of course, they're thinking a lot of times I'm dyeing it. And I'm like, no, that was the whole point. I didn't want to be dyeing it anymore. So that's one little thing, but it's very sweet, but it makes you feel really good to have people obviously say nice things about you. But it's just funny because I'm like, back in the day, people and still women are so afraid of roots even showing that I'm like, who would have ever thought anyone would be complimenting you because you're wearing your gray hair? It's like crazy.
Right. So ladies, hear that though, because if you're worried that if you start letting your grays come in, that suddenly people are going to say negative things to you, the majority of women that we talk to will tell you the exact opposite. They'll tell you what Jineen just said, and that is they are getting more compliments now on their hair from complete strangers than they ever would have thought. So it's not as scary. I think there are more people receptive to it. You just have to boldly go into it.
Yes, and you know what? It's funny because my dad back in the day he would probably still say he's not into short hair on women, and he's old school for one thing. But back in the day, he would have said gray hair was like letting yourself go. And which, whatever that even means. But it's just funny because I think, probably in some ways we might even be afraid that we'll be more invisible if we go gray. Like, I don't know if there's something about that. And I'm like, I definitely stand out more with my hair this way. And my hair is also very bright. But so it kind of, my hair precedes me a little bit. But I think there's something to say for that. And I do think it's the bravery and the boldness and the confidence to wear it and just go, this is me and I'm not going to hide anymore. And it's actually okay. And again, it doesn't mean you can't dye your hair. Feel free if you're doing that and you love it. That's great. But I want to say, make sure you love it. I didn't love dyeing hair anymore. It was literally getting all over my face. It was itching my scalp. It was burning me. I was having to do it so often. It was so much more of a hassle that it became, I don't want to do this anymore. And I think that's when okay, it's time to do something different. And so that's what I'd encourage women with, is just to say, make sure you love what you're doing, because if you're hating it and dreading going to a salon or whatever it is you're doing, try something else. Like, or shave your head if you don't feel like fixing your hair. Do that too. I sometimes wish I'd kept my shaved head a bit longer because it really was fun and freeing and, so easy. But it's been fun to see my hair kind of at every stage too, as it grew out.
So let me tell people where they can follow you, Jineen. So let's tell people where, because I know I'm going to wrap this a little shorter, people that I normally would, just because I'm coughing to death. And I don't want that to intrude before Jineen's conversation. But tell us where we can find you on your, obviously you can find her in the magazine, because the magazine's coming out today, January 8th, and she's got some great color in there. But where else can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Jineen Marie Silvery, and then you can also join my silver-haired group called Color Me Silvery on Facebook, and of course I'm on there as well. I'll post. I think basically my Instagram post to Jineen Marie Silvery as well on Facebook. So yes, come find me and DM me, message me if you have any questions or you just want to chat.
Excuse me, guys.
Or Robin.
All right, well, and then I'm going to wrap us up, Janine, just so I don't gag all the way through this conversation, and we will pick up another time with you. So I'm going to end this real quick. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Take care.
Get better.